Everyone to the W Sports Podcast. We've got Jimothy and the best co-host in the business, Tubby, back in the show today. We're starting today a little bit different. We're going with the NFL. So, Tubby, welcome back to the show.
What's up? We got a wild NFL. I mean, there's really no team in the NFL right now that you can legitimately say that's the favorite.
Yeah, what a mess. The NFL, I don't know if they're happy about it or not. I don't think they are because honestly, the NFL loves its stars, loves the teams that are continuing to carry the top tier. But we have entered into that weird part where Tom Brady, remember, after he got that third ring, he kind of had a gap of nearly a decade where there's nothing. And I'm not saying that's where we are right now as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but I am saying that you are starting to see it just shift a little bit, or you could see the gap here. So, I don't know.
I agree. I mean, the couple of the teams that we thought were, the top teams did not win this week.
Yeah, well, what better place to start in that case than the Panthers at home? Yes, but they beat who we were considering the Super Bowl favorites at this point in the season. The 9-2 Rams are now 9-3. Matthew Stafford threw 2 picks in this game, although they were able to run the ball pretty effectively. Is this more about the Panthers making the statement and winning, or is this about, hey, this is just a long road trip for the Los Angeles Rams to go across the country?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's a lot that people are sleeping on the Carolina Panthers right now. I mean, they've got good wins throughout the season. I mean, early on in the season when they beat the Packers up in Lambeau, people are like, oh, the Packers aren't that good. They just lost to a really bad Carolina team. And well, now we're starting to see this Carolina team really start getting things going, especially it started on the ground when Rico Gatto entered the starting lineup when Chuba got hurt. And now we're really seeing Bryce Young starting to flourish as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I do think a big piece of this has to be the massive long road trip, the time zone jumps in favor of the Carolina Panthers, because I don't know that I'm ready to buy all of the stock that I have in this NFC South that is the Panthers right now, trying to find a way to get a division title here. I still believe in the Rams. They had some really big plays on the offensive side, not only obviously in the run game, but even in the passing game. It's just one of those things where, I mean, you get down 14-7 at the end of the first quarter, you storm back out to the lead, come out slow in the second half. There's just a lot of little things, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to sell. Maybe it's more I'm not going to sell no Rams, and I'm trying to see, do I actually believe in this Panthers team? What you're saying is you at least should consider them as a threat to this division.
Yes, absolutely. Especially with all the injuries that we see on the Buccaneers side of things, those injuries have plagued them throughout the whole season, and we've seen them not play great football lately. They got the win this week against the Cardinals, but not a great Cardinals team. So the fact that a lot of us wrote Bryce Young off at the beginning of the season when he started out the season really poor, got benched halfway through a game because they were getting blown out, brought in Andy Dalton. I think a lot of people were ready just to kind of go, okay, well, Bryce Young is the bust that we expected, or that we thought, through most of last year. Then he kind of picked things up, but then we're really starting to see that Bryce Young that we saw at the end of last year starting to show up again. And I think the addition of Tetairoa McMillan has been a big difference for him, having a legitimate go-to guy, and then the emergence of Rico Dowdle in the run game.
Yeah, well, Ted having the 40-plus yard touchdown catch, he made the most that he could with that production, because that was his only catch of the day. Let's shift a little bit to the Buccaneers. They get Bucky Irving back, and my question is this the right game plan against a bad Cardinals team where, yes, they're trying to get healthy? Baker's not 100%. Bucky's maybe getting close to 100% on the healthier side of things, but even outside of Bucky, they were back to him almost 100% of the time while having Rashad White and Sean Tucker combined for 4 carries for 7 yards. Is that kind of a mistake in a football sense? Not fantasy football, thank goodness, as a Bucky Irving owner in a couple places. But that's just, is it the right move?
No, it's absolutely the wrong move. You have a guy come back from an injury, and you're automatically throwing him out there and just force feeding him the football when Sean Tucker and Rashad White have both shown that they are capable running backs in the NFL. I think that you probably should have given, split the snaps a little bit more, gave him, more chance to get his feet wet and not just throwing him in the deep end right off the bat from the injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that that's the pathway for the Bucks to essentially win this division is really run the ball heavy and then trust Baker Mayfield to make those in between the 20s really, or in the red zones, and essentially cap off drives, right? Be clutch, because he has shown that he can do that. There's another team this weekend that you sent me that graphic about Jamarcus Russell versus JJ McCarthy. And it's hard to imagine saying, well, even with that information, I still wish he would have played. As a Vikings fan, you just saw a game, absolutely pathetic performance. At least he went over 100 yards passing. Sam Darnold only had 2 yards more yards passing, but this was a disgusting game. I hope nobody really had to watch this.
Yeah, if you're a Vikings fan, I feel sorry that you put yourself through that. Watching Max Brosmer go out there and just play some just atrocious football. And the fact is, yeah, like you said, as bad as JJ McCarthy has been this year, you are wishing he was on that field right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sam Darnold didn't really turn the ball over, revenge game narrative, whatever you say. Both quarterbacks were sacked 4 times. It just wasn't a very pretty game. It is what it is. And the Seahawks, to me, I mean, they're now tied in the division with the Rams, which is crazy, but both of them are coming off of very different weekends as you continue on the rest of the season. The Steelers, they get booed with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers kind of throws the wide receivers under the bus, and Mason Rudolph has to play again, as you said. I think last week it's Rudolph season,
yeah,
which it seems like every single December we get Mason Rudolph. I can't believe he's still in the league.
No.
This is a 6-6 team. Mike Tomlin is a coach, I think, that gets under fire. That if he's not on that team, I don't think they have any chance of sniffing the playoffs. And he is so, like, I've heard people who have said, "Hey, you know what? They should probably move on from him." How real is that? A dumb decision?
Yeah, it would be like the Philadelphia Eagles moving on from Andy Reid, like they did. And if he went somewhere where they had a solid roster, there's a chance that he's going to go out there and he's going to potentially win another Super Bowl. It's not the move you make. The problem is they just have not found a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. They have gone through so many different, adaptations of quarterbacks that they just haven't found that one that can sustain and be a good player constantly. And that's their issue right now. They have to get better, consistent quarterback play. And once that happens, Mike Tomlin knows how to win. Mm-hmm. And he's going to put you in that, situation to compete each year.
Yeah, he's just one of the best coaches we have in the league right now. And he's just had, like you said, in a quarterback-driven league, no quarterback really since the last few years of Ben Roethlisberger. But on the other side of it, this game was 7-3 at half. The Steelers were winning, and then outscoring 23-0 in the second half. And the Bills ran the ball 30-plus times to James Cook. Josh Allen clearly didn't have to carry the team, and they won. Is this a recipe for what the Bills should be doing moving forward to take some of that pressure that was completely on Josh Allen?
Yeah, this is the most ideal way for the Bills to really be Super Bowl contenders. It is not to rely on Josh Allen 100% of the time. And the thing is, they did all of this, with James Cook, with both starting tackles out of the game, didn't play this week. So this is the recipe that they need going forward, especially with the not so great weapons on the outside. And not allowing Josh Allen to run the ball 20 times and get hit as much as he does. Yeah, he's a big, strong, physical quarterback, and he can take those hits, but you don't want him to if he doesn't have to. So give the ball to your running back that you just paid and let him do what he can do.
Yeah, well, you look at this weekend here, and you're seeing a trend of some of these teams where maybe they went real hard pass heavy for a couple of years. Now they're seeing, hey, if you really just want to win, take some of the pressure off or not have to be perfect, run the ball really well. Even some of the times where the Bills, even the previous years, have had their best chance to beat teams like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens, it's been when they've been effective at running the ball. Same thing with the Baltimore Ravens, who, yes, lost again this last week and put up a terrible performance. Lamar Jackson is not playing as well as he can. He has had multiple turnovers. He's not running the ball effectively. He's not throwing the ball down the field effectively. And I think right now, I mean, all that being said, the Chiefs had one of the worst weeks outcomes that they could have. Not only did they lose, but they also saw other teams win, including the Broncos and the Chargers both won this weekend. I know both were playing lesser teams. The Broncos win in overtime, and the Chargers beat the Raiders. I mean, that one there. But
yeah,
bigger, I guess, gap into where they need to be right now, the Ravens or the Chiefs, who, if we broke down those games in the previous episode, if you guys are curious about that, we did do all that already. But I'm curious, W, what are you seeing?
I mean, if we're talking about playoff potential, it's definitely the Chiefs right now. The division is really not in grasp for them. At least for the Ravens, that division's so bad that they can win 9 games this year. And also another team that won that they didn't need to win was the Houston Texans. So everything came up negative for the Chiefs this week. Teams that are ahead of them in the playoff race won and they lost. So I think definitely they have to figure something out if they want any realistic shot of making the playoffs, because we know the division not going to happen.
Yeah, they have to jump
now,
4 teams right now if they want to make it. And one of those, and that's got to be the Colts, who lost again, the Bills, the Chargers, who, like we said, we just won and are running the ball well, and possibly the Ravens. So that's an uphill battle.
Yeah, not something that as a Chiefs fan or player right now that you would be expecting this late in the season.
Yeah, I will say right now they're 6-6. The other team, number 10 team in the NFC, is the Carolina Panthers, and we're just looking at their season completely different, like goalposts maybe at the beginning of the year, but just the vast difference that you're seeing in these two teams. Because if one of these teams make the playoffs, you much rather play the Panthers, I would say, than the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs are having their own issues. So Broncos, their win. Any worry about that and the fact the way it went down?
Yeah, I mean, you went to overtime with a bad Commanders team led by Marcus Mariota, who tried to give the game away in the way he played, but Bo Nix just did not have a great fourth quarter. And part of me is like, how much of it is Bo Nix and how much is it of Sean Payton trying to force Bo Nix to be Drew Brees? I think that the biggest problem is that, Nix doesn't have the biggest arm, but when he throws it downfield a lot, he's pretty accurate with it for the most part. They just don't allow him to take those shots when you've got guys like Courtland Sutton who can get downfield, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims Jr., Bryant. You got the wide receivers that can stretch the field. You just try to run this, 2-step drop and throw a quick slant every single play, and he's trying to force him into a playing style that I don't think completely suits the way he plays.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. As it stands, though, right now, it's crazy to think that the Bears are number 1 in the NFC. The Bears are number 1 in the NFC, and the Broncos are number 1. More trust in any of those two teams?
I'll give it to the Broncos just because they have a really good defense, and that can win you games. The Bears defense is still kind of I don't know where it is. Yeah, they held the Eagles to 15 points, but the Eagles haven't scored over 17 points in the last 5 games or something like that. So it's not like a huge feat, but I'm not quite sure. I think they both have had relatively easy schedules, and so it's really hard to gauge them, but I'll give it to the Broncos just because of that defense is so good.
I would definitely agree. And just speaking to what you said, the Broncos' strength of schedule, win percentage of their opponents is 40.6%. Right now, the Bears are 37.8%. Look at the Los Angeles Rams, that's 55.1%. They're number 2, and the Patriots are at 35.9%. They might be the worst one. It's pretty rough. Just for the context, the Chiefs aren't even the top in their division. The Texans, 579. 57.9. I'm just saying there are a lot tougher schedules out there than the ones we're seeing, but the Patriots might be one of. I mean, it's the weakest one.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so hard to determine who the best team is in the NFL is because you've got these teams like the Broncos, the Bears, the Patriots that are all tops when it comes to record wise, but then you look at who they played and you're like, well, are they really that good? Yeah, you beat the bad teams, but can you beat the other good teams? That's where you question a lot of the things is like your strength of schedule just doesn't match up with what you're with the rest of the league, and so it makes it really hard to gauge who is the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still got a little more time. There's still obviously the Monday night game happening tonight. Any thoughts on that one? Patriots, Giants. Can the Giants make the upset with your boy Jackson Dart?
Hey, Jackson's back. I don't know. This seems like a trap game, honestly, for the Patriots. That maybe overlook a Giants team that's had their chance at winning a couple of these games late, but blow it or whatever. I think that the Patriots will win, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Giants somehow sneak out a win with Jackson Dart coming back from injury.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm ready to transition to some college football. We had a lot of coaches that did get fired. I thought there were some that got fired that might have done just enough to hold on to the job one more year. Not to be the case. We'll start off with very own Kentucky SEC program, Mark Stoops, who, yes, believe it or not, is the winningest coach in Kentucky football's history at 82 wins, fired today. I think he ends up finding a good spot somewhere, but he's out. James Madison gets hired over their coach, who we talked about him a little bit. He goes over to UCLA today. Coastal Carolina fires their coach, on a big deal. John Summerall moves over to Florida. Big deal. You saw the writing on the wall for that one. Tubby, you mentioned that one. But now Tulane is an upcoming program for the American Conference. Now he needs to go find someone. Lots of shifting, though. Any other ones, one that you want to hit first, or maybe you want to talk about one that I haven't even mentioned?
So I love the Summerall thing for Florida. I think Summerall is an incredible coach. Did really good at Troy, built that program up, went to Tulane, and steadied a rocky boat. That whenever the coach left, the people were like, man, we're going to see the downfall of Tulane. And he came in and really steadied that boat. So I think it's a good hire for Florida. Now there's one that I did not like at all, or there's actually two. I'll say there's two. Auburn hiring Adam Golesh. I was not a fan of that one. I don't think that he's that great of a coach. His record as a head coach is 21-15. Yeah, he's had a solid year this year at USF, but I just don't think that he's an SEC type coach and is really ready for that. I think they swung and missed once again on the coaching hire. And then the other one is Ole Miss promoting Pete Golding. I don't see Pete Golding as a head coach in college football. He's a decent defense coordinator. I'm not going to say solid because he really was kind of the start of the downfall of the Alabama defenses over the last few years when he was the coordinator there. And yeah, they had a really good defense last year. Ole Miss did, but this year the defense has really fallen off compared to what it was last year. I don't like that. With all the momentum you had, go out and get someone, an up and coming coach, young coach that, kind of fits what Lane Kiffin does, what the team makeup is, and that's the offensive side of things. I was not impressed with either of those hires. I thought that they could have done better.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That one is what happens when you blow everything else up, and Lane Kiffin does exactly what Lane Kiffin has done. I saw a funny video. I don't know if you see the SEC shorts on YouTube ever, but they're like, you guys have the E60 documentary ready yet? We have the trailer, and it's like a guy who's done this 8 times still has not learned his lesson on how not to burn bridges. And I did hear the question. So let me ask you this, Tubby. If you were Ole Miss, would you have allowed him or wanted him to coach the rest of the season?
Absolutely not. Just like I get, the argument behind it going, oh, well, you potentially win a national championship. That's not. Yeah, I want to win that national championship, but the problem is right now the way things would be is he would have access to every single one of those players every single day until their season is over. And we know the type of guy that Lane Kiffin is. He's not the most he doesn't have the
He's
greatest
burned a lot of
ethics.
bridges, and he's done it real messy.
He is a very shady person when it comes to trying to skirt rules. And I think that what he would have done and what they're probably more worried about is him trying to constantly get these players to go with him to LSU. And so I agree with the decision. I wouldn't have let him stay and continue just because one, it's like I saw this analogy is like, you get divorced, you ain't gonna let the person just stay in the house with you whenever they're with your arch enemy down the road, in a relationship with them. You're not gonna let them stay in the house. No, you're gonna tell them pack their bags and get out. So why would why let him stay there? And so I get it. I just feel like they know the type of person he is, that he isn't the when it comes to staying within the boundaries of things, he likes to stay on the edge, and I could definitely see him trying to take guys from Ole Miss and bring them to LSU, like a Trinidad Chambliss, someone like that. Go, hey, you want to come with me? You gonna come? Because it's not technically tampering because he is the head coach at Ole Miss at the time.
Yeah, I hear all that. Go win a championship. It is open. You had the opportunity. Win the championship. Ole Miss. They have some claimed national titles back from the late 50s, early 60s. And in my mind, I get it. I think this has a lot to do with Lane Kiffin. For every point you said is valid. I don't think it gets to that nastiness if the AD in the school itself doesn't muddy the water on their own. They did a bad job of this. The ultimatum, that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And just how long has Ole Miss been good? Since we've been alive. About right now. And your opportunity to win is here with this team, the way that college football season set up. And honestly, maybe they rally. I think there were some players on that team that had soured on Kiffin anyway, and I don't know that it was really going to move over. But I would have been tempted to have, at least knowing Kiffin's going to leave. I know this is going to happen as soon as they're start. I know he's gone. We'll give him a strong offer, hope he stays, and talk to boosters, all that kind of stuff. But make it so that, hey, even when he does go, we want to win a championship, and that's the legacy. And hopefully, Kiffin could have known that too and said, hey, we understand you're probably going to go. We want your legacy here not to be this way. We want it to be a championship. No, it's not.
It can't be. I mean, yeah, so you knew that that avenue was pretty much shot whenever he didn't come out and after they gave the ultimatum and he didn't shoot down the rumors or anything. You knew he was gone, and so the opportunity for him to stay and finish out the season was pretty much done there. Yeah, Ole Miss given the ultimatum, not typically what you want in your program, because now you're really, like you said, you're muddying the waters. You're making things worse or whatever. And I get what they were doing because it is such a time crunch right now as the coaching carousel has started, and they wanted maybe the opportunity. Hey, if you go ahead and give us the, hey, I'm going to leave or whatever, now we can start looking into things when it comes to other coaches. And that unfortunately did not work for them because he waited after all the other coaches have already gotten hired, the top candidates. So it definitely blew up in their face. But I get both arguments. Yeah, you want to win that national championship or the potential to win a national championship, but I also understand the long-term, things when you're going, okay, we have good players here. He's, doesn't have the cleanest track record. Let's not let him stick around longer than he should.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, that's the college football, and that's the Lane Kiffin world that we somehow still managed to be in. There's still one of these massive openings in college football. Maybe not a full blue blood, but a power team Penn State, and there's some rumors heating up over who they're going after. A guy who's had a lot of really great momentum for a program in Kalani Sitake.
Yeah,
Sitake. I can't remember how to pronounce that. I know you know.
Kalani Sitake.
Thank you. Okay, so I did get it right. Okay, for
Yeah.
a good thing. And with a BYU program that is doing a really, really good job, it has a good culture. Even in losing their starting quarterback in the offseason, right before the semester started, would that be a good fit for him and Penn State and him, like even both sides?
I mean, this wasn't one I had on the radar, honestly, that him
No, I thought he
leaving
was staying with
BYU.
BYU.
Yeah, I mean, he's had many opportunities to take other jobs, and yeah, maybe they haven't been quite as prestigious as Penn State. So whether or not I think it would be a good move for Penn State, yes. Do I think it'd be a good move for him? I don't necessarily think so, because of the type of players that he recruits aren't necessarily out on the East Coast. And I feel like he would have to change up some of the ways he went about things. And could that potentially lead to him not having quite the success that he's had at BYU? I think for him, the smarter decision is to stay with BYU, continue to build that program. You got a freshman quarterback, and what was his name? Bo Bachmeyer. He is you've got something going there in a much easier Big 12.
Yeah, I would argue that definitely agreeable there, and it's their second straight 11-win season, and what you're looking at now is a team that honestly, like fan wise, there's a ton of buy-in. A little side note, I mean, you don't have to be of the faith of that school to go there, but
Yeah.
he is tied to that actually. So there is that's going to be a harder thing I think for Penn State to kind of really navigate and kind of sway him because he clearly really really loves it there. I don't know if we talked about this before, but there's a channel called Snapback Sports. Have you ever watched them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really entertaining stuff. They're trying to find one of the best college atmospheres for watching a game, specifically in college football. And BYU is up there, and that fandom, they don't take breaks. I mean, it's really cool to watch. And just a quick free shout out, for the 18 people who are going to watch this today, it's worth it to go see. It's so hard to leave that, and you think, well, Penn State's that on steroids because of the whiteout and all this other stuff, and you're right, but man, BYU is in a very winnable area, and I don't know that Penn State's going to do that anytime super soon. But
yeah, and he does such a good job recruiting the West Coast and those mountain states that players that may get overlooked, and then the Samoan players from Hawaii and stuff like that. He does such a good job at recruiting those players that I just don't think that it would transition so well going to such a bigger, program in Penn State. And now, yeah, you do have a shot at all these big top 5, star players or whatever, but those aren't the players that he's used to coaching and molding. He's taking these players that have been overlooked and molding them and, keeping that chip on their shoulder and going out there and performing. And those aren't going to be those players that, necessarily he would be going after in Penn State.
Yeah. Well, before we get into championship game predictions, which we'll do in our episode later this week, so this is really going to be like, hey, Tubby, I want your opinion on this. Like, these teams are in regardless of what happens this upcoming weekend, or you're saying, no, we still need to see something that happens. So we're going to start real easy. We're going to start at the top of the ladder here. So we got Ohio State, Indiana. They're in regardless of what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Then you're going to get the other Big Ten team, Oregon. Are they in regardless of what happens?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's 3 Big Ten teams. We'll move on. Georgia and Alabama.
Now, Alabama, I don't know. I'll say Georgia for sure. Alabama being at the 10th spot right now, it doesn't play itself out too well to lose because it doesn't get the same narrative of the SMU of last year where they were towards the top, didn't have a loss, and you got that one loss or the second loss. So I think if Alabama loses, they are out of playoffs.
I would agree. Also give them the 3rd loss. So that's 4 for sure teams so far. Through I think that's 16 or no 5. Okay, so we'll keep going. Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're in.
Okay, agreed. We'll go Texas A&M and Oklahoma.
Yes, I believe both of them are in too.
I definitely agree. Anybody that says Oklahoma shouldn't make it, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We looked at this schedule, thought at the last year, rolled the tape back. We thought there was another 6-win team at best. Brent Venables wasn't going to make it. We got to the last month of the season. We thought if they can make it 2-2, that's success. Went 4-0 with those 2 wins. And everyone's like, well, look at Tennessee. They just lost. I don't care. They were.
Yeah, no.
You can't move the goals afterwards. So
Yeah,
so
and
here's my rule right
it's
there.
not like they lost to a bad team. They lost to the 14th ranked Vandy and state rival.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with a senior quarterback. So just
Yeah.
saying. All right, so that brings us to 6 teams or 7 teams now. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because the only one I haven't mentioned yet is Texas Tech would be the 7th one. Are they, or it would be 8th? Are they for sure in, regardless if they lose?
I believe so. I believe they would be.
I'm in agreement with you on that one. So because I think that then it would fall towards the bottom, like the 11 range. So we'll say that. BYU, we're going to agree they have to win to get in. Alabama has to win to get in. Notre Dame, they're on by another easy week. They're in.
They should be. Now there's a very interesting potential possibility that I think would be interesting to see how the college football committee would go about this. Is if Alabama wins the SEC championship.
Okay.
And say Notre Dame, Oklahoma stay where they are, where Notre Dame is 9, they would move to 10. Now they are technically that last team in. What happens if Miami is the first team out? We look at head-to-head. Miami has beat Notre Dame. So does that potentially, does that decision, how does that play out for the committee? When you talk about head-to-head being such a big aspect of things, how does that play out? Because Miami has the better wins. They have the better resume. They may have the worst loss. You know, their 2 losses aren't as good as Notre Dame's, but they have that tiebreaker over them. So I would be interested to hear the talk and hear how things would be decided there if that becomes the situation. Because at that point, you get to that where the whole Texas argument is, why play the game then? Why play that game if it doesn't matter?
No, it definitely does matter. And I think so a great argument, because Miami's on the outside hoping for that to happen, right? Because they have no control, because Duke is in the conference championship game against Virginia. So Virginia has to win in order to get in. You know that. You're looking at North Texas. They're playing, is it Tulane? Is that right? Yeah, Tulane.
I believe so. Yeah.
Trying to get the at-large there. There's a good chance of what they have. And then you obviously have a BYU who's trying to win to stay in. Vandy looks like that team that is going to miss out.
Yeah.
Not Texas, but it looks like it's going to be Vanderbilt.
Now, there is another interesting situation with the ACC, though, is that if Duke wins, it doesn't guarantee that there's an ACC team in the playoffs, because it is the top 5 conference champions in ranking, or ranking wise. They may not be ahead of a team, a group of 5 team in the rankings that has won. So we could potentially end up with 2 group of 5 teams in the playoffs due to rankings and Duke winning the ACC.
And there's no ranking in the media or coaches right now that has them ranked, not in the top 25, but in like the top 33,
top 30,
getting any votes. So
I mean, you're sitting at 7 and 5 right now. I mean, so it gets interesting that they could potentially really hurt the ACC and not allow a single ACC team in the playoffs if somehow they are able to beat Virginia this week.
More deserving of getting in the American Athletic Conference champion, either North Texas Tulane or the ACC champion. Who do you think is more deserving, like that you'd rather see in the playoff?
Oh, I want to see North Texas play, or Tulane. Yeah, we've seen it, them play in big bowl games, but I want to see North Texas. Give me the Mean Green.
Yeah, I would like to see that too, man. Yeah, you know they're going to go on the road, so
Mhm.
heck of a matchup. So we're going to have a lot of the predictions for those conference championship games as we get in. So maybe you haven't already hit subscribe. We'd really love it and appreciate it if you would just hit that subscribe button. We're on the Cyber Monday sale; it's still free as always. So make sure you hit that button. Tubby, any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
Man, it's championship weekend. I'm ready for it.
I know. Same.
And
It's
then,
going to be a good. Oh, I almost forgot. You go first, and then I'll do it.
and I believe national early signing period is either tomorrow or Wednesday.
It's true.
So,
So all the recruitment knowledge, maybe tell me you'll put on some shorts or something like that. Like just let people know what happened because that's definitely your world.
Yeah, it's definitely something I like to dive into.
Yeah. So I almost forgot. My wife, she travels obviously for college football quite a bit, even pro sports, but a lot for college football. She's doing the SWAC championship game. So if you watch it, that's her. I'm just saying. She's gonna be in Jackson, Mississippi. I was like, she told me where she was going. I was like, wait, for this weekend? I'm pretty sure I know exactly what game you're doing. So
that's awesome.
I'm pumped. So I said, just be ready at halftime. It's gonna be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So little shout out for that. But yeah, we always, as always, we appreciate each and every one of you hanging out, whether it was live for right now or maybe you just jumped on the podcast a couple of days later. We just appreciate you guys. We hope that we see you next time. See y'all later.
See ya.
See you. Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to translate it. The last